Welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. It's Okay to Not Be Okay is a Netflix original K-drama series that revolves around three main characters, Moon Gang-tae, Moon Sang-tae, and Ko Mil-young, and they have this really unique bond and relationship that brings them together. And then in the midst of this, we have this OK psychiatric hospital, and all of this is surrounded by a very dark fairy tale fantasy element and also a mystery show as well. So if all of that sounds interesting to you, then this might be the show for you. So let's go ahead and get into It's Okay to Not Be Okay. And so my favorite thing about this series are the characters. And so the three main characters are Moon Gang-tae and Moon Sang-tae, who are actually brothers. And then there's Ko Mil-young, who's a very popular children's book writer, and she primarily writes dark fairy tales. And so that's where the fantasy elements comes in. And then there's many other characters on this. There are the people of the OK Psychiatric Hospital, the main director, Director O, all the people who are working there, and also the patients. And then for Ko Mil-young, she actually has people who work for her, mainly Lee Sang, and then there's another girl who is his assistant. And then for the two brothers, there's also somebody who is basically another brother, but the best friend of Moon Gang-tae, and I would say Moon Sang-tae as well. And then there's also many other side characters as well. The best thing about the characters here in this series is you really grow to love all of them, even the villains themselves. There's so many things that I enjoyed about these characters. All of them had more depth than you would expect. And more importantly, you really cared about them and wanted to see more of these characters. And that's something that I think the whole series did really well, because right from the beginning of the series, when you first meet the brothers, with Moon Gang-tae, he is a nurse, and his older brother, Sang-tae, he actually has autism. And all of this plays a part in the whole narrative and story, but it also plays a part in how the characters develop over time. And then Kim Moo-young, she is a very popular, secluded type of writer, but at the same time, she has this very dark side and this emptiness, and you grow to really be fascinated by that. And as you see these relationships grow between the main characters and all the other characters, you can't help but to really care about them from beginning to end, even when they're not people you should be rooting for. At the end of the day, the characters in this entire series are done really well. They have a lot of depth, and most importantly, they are characters that you actually feel are real people, and they actually care about what happens to them. So that's the first and best thing about this series. And so the second best thing about this series that goes along with the characters is the acting. Overall, I really feel everyone involved in this just did a superb job playing these roles. And so the main characters, I'm going to try to pronounce this as best I can. The first one is Kim Soo-hyun, who actually plays Moon Gang-tae. He's the main character. And Kim Soo-hyun is a very popular South Korean actor. And this is the first series that he's worked on since coming back from military service. And I think he does a great job in playing somebody who's very emotionless on the outside and who's very understated. But as you watch the series, you see the weight of all of this and how it affects him from pretty much every angle. And then second to that is Seo Ye-ji, who plays Ko Mil-young, and I think she does a wonderful job in playing somebody who's very cold and empty on the outside, but who has a very complex and dark past. And all of this really comes together as the series rolls along. And then finally, out of the main characters is Jung-se, who plays Moon Sang-tae, and I really feel his performance is the best. So he plays somebody who is autistic, but his condition really plays a lot into the overall story, and his performance reminds me a lot of Dustin Hoffman in the movie Rain Man with Tom Cruise, and he has an evolution throughout this series, and by the end of it, you really feel that he is way more than what you thought he was at the beginning, and I really feel his acting overall was the best. And then every other actor and actress involved in this, from everybody in the OK Psychiatric Ward, from the nurses, the doctors, specifically Director O, I liked him, but also the patients as well. The acting in this was just really top notch, and all the other characters that are involved with the brothers, specifically I think Jae-soo, their best friend, I really liked them a lot, but also Lee Sang-in and his assistant. There's really not a acting performance in here that I did not like. The characters themselves were already written well, but if they didn't have the acting that was available here, I don't think the characters would have been as believable. And then later on in the series, there is a lot of emotional parts involved, and the acting, once again, is just really superb when it comes to that. So that's the second best thing that I really enjoyed about this series. The acting is just excellent overall. And so another aspect of this series that I enjoyed was the overall story itself. So here we have a combination of a K-drama, a murder mystery, along with this whole fairy tale fantasy element. And all of these things go together really well. And I was watching each one of these 16 episodes. There was never a point where I was bored or I was disinterested. There was always something that was being revealed or hinted at. And as the story evolves and you finally got the answers to this, you still wanted to learn more. It didn't really make things any less exciting. And then even when you got to the finale, the final part of the series, I really feel all of those themes and everything that's built up to it all comes back around, and it was done so well. And by the end of the series, I was extremely satisfied, because a lot of times whenever you're watching the series, it's really great at the beginning, even up to the middle, and it gets exciting at the end. But most series really don't do well at ending everything off and just closing it all together. But this series, from beginning to end, was just a really wonderful story. And it's one of the few actual series that I would actually go back and watch again. And so the story in this is a really good story overall that'll keep you interested throughout. And then the final thing that I thoroughly appreciated about this series is the overall production quality. Everything from the set designs to costume design, cinematography, and the overall coloring and look of this. This is a very high quality production, and all of those little details that they put within the series really helps to serve the overall stories and characters. And so if you are the type of person who really appreciates those type of things, then this series has it. And so those are like the main things that I really enjoyed about It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Now let's look at some of the things that aren't so okay. For serious YouTubers, check out TubeBuddy, the premier tool news at geekoutdoors.com. Get more done today by checking out the affiliate link in the description area below. And so getting into the negative of the series, I could really only think of one, and that is the overall villain itself. Even though the villain plays a big role throughout the series, whenever you see the reveal and everything that's going on, it might not be what you would expect. And at the same time, there's not as much depth in there as you would be led to believe as you were watching the series. But overall, I don't think that was the main focus of the story. I really feel the main focus of the story is within these three characters, relationships, and the messages behind that. And so at least for me, it wasn't really a big thing, but for some people, that might be a negative for them. So overall, those are my thoughts on It's Okay to Not Be Okay. I really feel this is an excellent series, not only for K-drama fans, but also for people who like some of the fantasy elements, and most importantly for people who really love well-developed characters that you actually care about. And so those are my thoughts on the series. If you actually had any of your own, be sure to leave it in the comments area below. And if you did want to see more of my international or K-drama series reviews, I do have a playlist. I'll leave that in the description area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hey geeks, if you are a creative geek like me and you wanted to learn how to create content on YouTube and other places on the internet, then check out my Go Content Creators group, where you'll get access to additional videos and content for all the creative geeks out there. And the best part of it is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and sign up for my Go Content Creators group. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.